Hey guys, I'm back with another ranking video. Today I'm going to be ranking all 6 of Sean Connery's James Bond movies, worst to best. Now I've seen all these films, obviously. So let's just get into the ranking. This is from 1962 to 1971. And if you haven't seen any of the films, I suggest you go and do it because they are all very good in my opinion. So let's start off at the bottom with number 6. Also, I'm not including Never Say Never Again because that's not an official James Bond film. So yeah. Number 6. Thunderball. I think it's kind of agreed by just like the James Bond film community. Not that this is the worst Sean Connery film, but that it is very overrated. You know, some people like it. It's kind of mixed, honestly, but I personally just find this movie really boring. I like the final half an hour of it. The climax is very good in my opinion, but the film before it is just really boring. There is too much talking, barely any action at all, and it's just all kind of setting up plans for the whole film. The plot is strong. Sean Connery is very good. And some of the action is quite good, but it's mostly just really boring. This film is super dull, very underrated, very overrated, and I just don't like it at all. It is very dull and very boring in my opinion. So that is number 6. Number 5. You Only Live Twice. Now, that wasn't a fact, that was just the name of the film. But I think this film is just kind of confused, sort of. It's just the final, I don't know, like 20 minutes of this film are great with the volcano lair and everything. All the action is really good. The finale of this film is brilliant, but the film before it is kind of mixed, I think, in my opinion. It's just kind of a mixed bag of stuff. It's they've got that whole weird turning James Bond Japanese thing, which is extremely racist, and it is by today's standards, is not aged well at all. It's quite funny to see just how, I don't know, it's just kind of funny nowadays. But it's not too phenomenal in my opinion, as in, it's just kind of, I wouldn't say boring. Some of the action is really good, but Sean Connery obviously just doesn't really care by this point. It's his 5th film, and he's really just doing it for paychecks. He does not give a good performance in this film. He just doesn't care at all. So yeah, that's really one of the main problems. The plot is pretty good, but I think the execution just isn't the best. But it's I don't know. It's just kind of confused and not that great. But I don't know. It is still quite a bit of fun. Number 4. Diamonds Are Forever. In my opinion, this is, I don't know, probably one of the most underrated James Bond films, in my opinion. It's just a lot of fun. It's not that great, just as a film. It's not that much of a good film, but hey, it's kind of a guilty pleasure, I think. It's not brilliant, but it's a lot of fun. I don't know. The first 20 minutes of the film are very good. I really like the car chase. Sean Connery gives a much better performance than in You Only Live Twice. And the film is just a lot of fun, I think. It's pretty funny, and yeah, it's sort of campy, but I think it's just a fun movie, and I like to have fun, so this is definitely a good watch for me. And the plot isn't too bad. It's actually pretty good. I think Blofeld's alright. It's not my favourite version of Blofeld. It's pretty good. Yeah, just a very fun movie that, you know, it's alright. It's a number 4, so pretty good, in my opinion. Number 3. So, kicking off the top 3 is From Russia with Love. Now, my main problem with this film is that for the entire, 2 hours of this film, it's just all talking, and it's all story, and there is pretty much no action in the film. There's only 3 action scenes or something in the entire film, and the action's not all that great, but it's mostly like some of the old ones. It's just story and talking and stuff like that. But I don't know why, but in From Russia with Love, great performances, very good cinematography, great locations, and just fantastic scenes make the talking and story much more fun to watch than it would in another Bond film. The boring stuff is not boring, in my opinion. That's number 3. It's very fun to watch, but it just doesn't have enough action. So if you're looking for thrills, then do not turn to this movie. Number 2. Dr. No. Now, I'm sure it is controversial putting this one over From Russia with Love. But I don't know, this is just such a classic film in my opinion. It is very underrated because people just don't really like it anymore. The action is good, and James Bond is instantly riveting. Sean Connery's fantastic. His introduction is just perfect. He's got some really great scenes. Bit of a shame the villain, the title character, doesn't really appear until the climax. And it's a much smaller scale Bond film, but it's just a classic, and I like classic films, so this is a lot of fun, and it's not as brilliant as a lot of the ones nowadays. It's a smaller scale, lower budget, but the performances are great, the action is fun, and the story's pretty good. It's just a great film, in my opinion. Number 1. Goldfinger. Now, this is a rather obvious number 1 pick. It's kind of universally agreed this is the best Sean Connery film. For some reason, I thought about putting Dr. No at number 1. I'm such a weirdo, I know. This is one of the best James Bond films of all time. It's got 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's objectively very good. Great. It's just very classic, this one. The villain is top notch. The henchman Odd Job is very good. Sean Connery is just brilliant as always. He's such a good James Bond. There's just it's just good. You don't know why. It introduces the Aston Martin DB5, which is my favourite James Bond car, as everyone's favourite James Bond car, pretty much. The action is fun and thrilling, and it's pretty funny for a James Bond film. The story is very good, and it's just an extremely classic film, and it introduces a lot of the newer Bond elements, like the gadgets. Yes, it introduces the gadgets in this one. It's got the first shaken not stirred, a martini shaken not stirred line. It's just the first Bond film with all of the classic elements of a normal Bond film nowadays. So, for that reason, it is genuinely fantastic. So, my number 1 is Goldfinger. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is my list ranking all of the Sean Connery films worst to best. If you did enjoy, please do like, subscribe, and comment, because there is more content like this coming soon. So, hope you did enjoy, and I will see you in the next video.